Labor likes to pretend that they're a lot better for refugees than the Liberal Party. Shame! This is complete and utter horseshit. As with many issues in Australian politics, Labor and Liberal are in a race to the bottom. The Liberals are simply a lot more open with their cruelty. Well, you get Liberal Prime Ministers like John Howard saying things like, "We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come." In his election campaigns, or Scott Morrison having a fucking trophy in the shape of a fishing boat emblazoned with the words, "I stop these." Shame! We also have Labor PMs like Anthony Albanese saying, "We'll turn boats back as a solution to the immigration problem." Shame! Or Kevin Rudd referring to immigration as passing the parcel. Shame! In fact, it was Bob Hawke's Labor government in 1989 that empowered immigration officers to lock up anyone they even suspected of being an illegal entrant. Shame! And it was that same government that opened the first detention centre in Port Hedland to imprison those escaping war in Cambodia. Shame! The average length of internment in detention centres was 15.5 days. But for those Cambodian asylum seekers, the average length was 523 days. Shame! That's 523 days too fucking long. And Paul Keating, who's now being seen as the voice of reason in the AUKUS debates, was the one to introduce mandatory detention for all refugees arriving by boat in 1992. He then went on to expand this detention to everyone who didn't hold a correct visa later that year. And just 2 years later, he was the same one to make mandatory detention indefinite. Shame! But, you know, maybe you're thinking of the, you know, more progressive, modern Labor Prime Ministers, like Kevin Rudd, you know, who closed Manus Island and Nauru. Well, that'd be great if it weren't for the fact that he also opened and then expanded a detention centre on Christmas Island. Shame! And then when Rudd was ousted by Gillard in 2010, not only did she reopen Manus Island and Nauru, but she also opened the Sugar Detention Centre in Far North Queensland, attempted to swap one group of refugees for another with Malaysia, and she worked with the Rajapaksa regime in Sri Lanka to prevent Tamil refugees escaping the genocide, and sent 650 Tamils back to Sri Lanka. And then, when Rudd came back into office, he was the one that announced refugees who come here by boat without a visa will never be settled in Australia. The opening of the PNG solution was the permanent slamming of the door for asylum seekers. As a result of Rudd and Gillard's 2012 to 2013 policies alone, 3,127 refugees have been held in offshore detention. Shame. At least 14 died on Manus Island and Nauru. 700 refugees were sent back to their country of origin, the very same place that they were trying to escape in the first place. Labor cannot wash their hands of the blood of refugees. They are complicit in every single death that happens in detention centres and in countries around the world when these asylum seekers are turned back. Shame! Free the refugees! Free the refugees! Free the refugees! Free the refugees!